What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Total RNG. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to do this, but things have calmed down now. So I'm back here with the other host. I hate saying co-host because we're both just great hosts. My great host, CLT Pathfinder, aka CJ. So we've been gone because we had GexCon that we went to, and then following right after that, our very own CJ got married. So we haven't had time to really get around to doing this, but now we're back, so we want to get back into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Well, tonight, I guess you could say, or whenever you guys are watching this. So, CJ, how was the wedding? Yeah, I haven't heard much about it yet. You got to tell me a little bit about how it was.
Hopefully the people care a little bit.
They
'Cause
will.
I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will. It was good. It was in Rochester, New York. I got to marry my bride. I put together like a little bit. Well, I didn't get a whole lot of clips from the actual wedding, but the little bit of clips I did get, I'm gonna throw them in a YouTube video, and then I think I'm gonna put pictures on top of it and kind of make like a slideshow out of it, so you can like see some of the pieces that came out of there. But overall, it was fun to be with family and good to hang out. And it was it was on a golf course, Shadow Lake golf course. And they did a great job. The staff were awesome. As Sarah was like, obviously being a bride, worrying about the bride, the wedding and all the big picture stuff. But it was beautiful. It was a great day. I'll remember it forever. And it's pretty up there in the summertime in Rochester. There's lots of green, and you can be outside and you're not gonna die. So
It had to be hot though, because I was still in that group message, and you all were like dying from what I was reading.
Yeah, I had a suit and I had a vest on. The guys didn't have a vest on, but I did. And then it was also like really humid that day, and it actually did rain during like our ceremony. So we had our ceremony inside, but we still got to take some pictures outside. But overall, it was really fun. I wasn't super excited about the wedding, but afterwards I kind of like saw how impactful it was for me and being with family and friends.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the things that I didn't think I would see while I was there. So that was.
Well, yeah, those. Me and my wife never actually did a wedding. We had always said we're gonna do our wedding one day, which we'll probably just wait till our 10-year and then just do like our, I guess, quote unquote re-up.
Yeah.
And then just do it then. But so we did. So the wedding's done. GexCon's done. If you guys haven't checked out the video, at least that Jabin Starnes did, his vlog, it very well captured, kind of a documentation of like the timeline and stuff. And we have a video coming out also that will give more in-depth behind the scenes. But Jabin Starnes, his video's out. We'll put the link in the description for you guys.
I think he did. Like, I didn't expect his vlog to be like so personal, but I feel like he kind of captured at the end like the sadness of that weekend. Like, it was good.
Yeah. I've told him that, I said, look, man, that video, what you did, that's exactly what we want. Like, that's what we need. That we want, like, to get people in our, organization to really film that type of stuff and to, like, put themselves in those situations. Not that it was a bad situation, but be there,
Sure. I thought it was good. I mean, like, just seeing it from that perspective. And obviously it has, like, it's Jabin's vlog, right? So, like, you're able to kind of see Jabin's perspective of it. But I think that overall, I was really impressed with what he did with the video.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun weekend. We didn't get the wins that we wanted, but we have a lot of changes that are happening because of that. So a lot of good changes. I know that there's a lot going on right now in the esports world, like some crazy stuff. I know me and you would talk briefly. There's a couple topics you want to hit on. So which one was the first one that you wanted to talk about?
So let's do the CWL Miami one.
Ooh, yeah, let's do it.
And I actually saw this from Dextero earlier today, and I was just at work and it popped up. But like, what I think happened, and when I read the article and kind of did a little bit of research, like these two kids that are like, average Call of Duty player, 18 to 20-year-old kid, like they had a scrim, so they were just kind of playing a game together and practicing, and they then went back and forth. And like, when I read the tweets, like they very much were like both being super aggressive with each other. Obviously, one of the guys, well, I guess I'll tell what happened. Like, so one kid was like, yo, I'm gonna bring my 40 in and I'm gonna kill you at the CWL event. And then this other dude came back and was like, yo, I have an army of friends. I'm gonna kill you before you kill me. And then they kind of like went back and forth for a little while. And it's like, it's so funny because when we talk about like running events and what that looks like this is like a huge safety factor. And I don't know if you know this, Josh, but about 3 or 4 years ago in Fort Worth, there was like several bomb threats in one event for CWL Fort Worth, where like they pulled everybody out of the building, did a clearing search of the building, and then went back in, and then there was another threat, so they pulled everybody out twice.
Oh, I
So
did
like,
not know that.
yeah, so when you talk about like, this is like on that kind of borderline of like the safety of the people attending the event and what that looks like, and it's very crazy to think that like the kids that do that kind of stuff, like they're just, it boggles my mind that they think that any part of that is acceptable. Like it's a criminal, it should be a criminal offense, and I think it actually is a criminal offense to like do some of that stuff. But I don't know. What do you think about this situation?
Well, when I first met you, I saw that in Goldsboro, Carolina Game Summit. There was kids
What, really?
that were threatening to go down to the Wendy's where these other kids were eating after the tournament, and they were going to jump them and do all this and that. And I mean, it was over Twitter and stuff, and that's the type of stuff that I was like, I'll disqualify anybody. But this was after the fact, and then so when we decided to do a event in Charlotte, those same teams messaged me and were like, hey, is there going to be security there? Because if these guys are going, we don't, and I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. But the fact that it gets to that point, and it's weird. Maybe it's just because we've been mostly dealing with the Call of Duty scene, but it seems like it's a lot of stuff that comes out of the Call of Duty. I would say they were the most, I guess you could say, passionate about their games until I saw the CS:GO major at GexCon, and those guys, they were really passionate about their. I mean, it was pretty close about which would be a more fun, set to watch, a Call of Duty set or one of those CS:GO teams that were playing, because they were both like super into it, which I like.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But no, it's
so. What would you do? Like, what do you think that like CWL Miami is like? Obviously, they're online and they can see that stuff, and they watch the players and how they interact at times. Like, what do you think they should do?
For something like that, if someone was monitoring Twitter, right, and following the hashtags, if for an event of that size, someone probably will be. But as soon as something like that comes up, it's like teams should get a warning, and then if it keeps going, then they get kicked out because
really,
I mean, look what
dude.
happened.
I think you should ban them. I think you should ban both of them right now from any event for like the next year and a half or something.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about if it was. Yeah, no, I agree with you on the ban. I was saying like a first time offense, not like something that's been going on like this over Twitter. Like if a team walks in and they're getting in each other's face. Now, if they were going to say I was going to shoot you, that's a whole different level because remember the
no, just like in the context of like the Twitter argument though, what do you think that the league should?
Oh, well, the league won't. Forget what the league should do. That goes into a law enforcement aspect at that point. I wouldn't even worry about the league. What is Call of Duty going to do? I'd be worried about like how much jail time am I going to be. I mean, because that is at that point, like you said, that's an actual criminal offense. You can't threaten someone saying you're going to kill them. Like that's you can actually get in trouble for that. It's the same as people that were swatting. It's the same idea. Or you're calling someone, put them in harm's way potentially, and at this point, you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to kill you." You're potentially putting someone in harm's way. I mean, they're all malicious kind of. Gosh, man, these kids, these are the type of kids I don't like dealing with. And I say kids, and most of them are my age that get like this, but. With what happened at that Madden tournament in Jacksonville like 2 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a year ago. It was only a year ago.
Yeah, where he shot up that place like a gun. That is when someone says I'm going to shoot someone now, and the time that we're living in, you can't just like brush that off. That becomes a huge offense. Like, well, I'm with you.
That's why I think the league should step in and find both the players and like ban them like for a year at least.
But
because
CWL,
I think making an example of those players is
that's a hard one because it's like, are they a part of the actual league, or are these kids amateurs? Like, are
They're
they?
amateurs. They're all amateurs. They're so like for the Call of Duty World League, it's just you just have to buy a team pass and show up. It'd be like coming to one of our events. It's the same
Yeah.
concept.
Well,
It's
no,
just a bigger prize pool.
I was just saying the players in general. I mean, they're not. Call of Duty can't ban them from leagues because they're not technically in a league. They're not at the franchise level.
You can ban a player. Like Game Battles has a huge list of like bannable offenses like
Yeah,
cheating or
talking about like
hacking
banning
or
an IP, but I mean, as far
no
as
no
you,
no no like if you throw a match and you throw a match, so like giving free wins and stuff, they give you like a 14-day ban. Like there's several things on the website that you're not allowed to do
oh,
that people
banning,
get banned
that's
for.
what you say. Ban them from like the CWL
No, you
events.
can. It's the same thing as like your CWL gamer tag is attached to MLG, and MLG is like where your profile lives, and it like because all these players have a certain amount of like pro points on the actual website. So like if you have over the 20 over like this year period, if you have like 20,000 pro points as an individual, like that's like an insane amount of pro points, right? So what they can do is
Dude,
just
I've got
ban
that
you.
many.
They like ban your profile to where you just can't play anymore underneath that profile, and they just know who you are.
Yeah.
Um,
But
like
as far as
they
I
could
see,
definitely ban them though.
I see that side. I don't see so much the side of. I don't think they could take legal action against them because it wasn't done on their platform. It was done on a completely separate platform. If they would have said it in game, like in game chat or something, because then it becomes an issue. Like if you're trying to find someone for something they said outside of your place of business, or like, you know what I'm saying, like they don't work for Blizzard or Activision. They were playing in a tournament, but they weren't even using the platform of Blizzard Activision. They were using Twitter, a whole separate entity, not even on site. So like legally, it wouldn't hold up much for now. Mind you, that wouldn't hold up much for Activision Blizzard. It doesn't mean that law enforcement wouldn't be able to take that into their own hands. Activision
Yeah,
Blizzard,
I don't think it matters what forum you say anything on, right?
that
It's just like
100% does. I can tell you as an IT guy, that 100% makes a difference. That will it's one of those dumb things that will make or break a case. Okay, so Activision Blizzard sues them for something they said on Twitter. That's not going to hold up. Like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
they
but
said
I'm
they're
not
going to
saying they wouldn't. I'm not saying they would sue
or
them, but I'm
find them.
saying like yeah, like but like I don't know, like if somebody so like if right now if I tweeted at you, Josh, and said that I was gonna kill you, like could you could still take that to law enforcement. I guess that doesn't work in context.
No,
But it
I
would.
see what you're saying.
I guess I'm trying to see like, are you saying that like anything you say on Twitter isn't necessarily usable by the publisher to ban you from their event? Is that what you're saying?
To fine you from your event. They legally could not fine you
Oh,
for something. Now, banning is
oh, so like
different.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to money, they couldn't. I really don't think legally. And I'm pretty sure that I have some friends that I've met in Atlantic City that are lawyers that'll probably watch this. So if you guys could comment below and let us know, because I'm actually really curious. I'm leaning towards the side that they can ban you, but they can't fine you. But I'd like to get more clarification on that. And Devin Nash, if you're watching this, I'm sure you know this, so you can put it in the comments too. But anyways, I'm with you. Ban the
Yeah.
players at least a year. Let them cool off. Let them learn from being. I'm not even gonna say young and dumb. At this point, I was reading their tweets too. They're not even young and dumb. They're just dumb. I mean, they were like, you skipped
It's
past
just
the
like
whole.
stuff you can't say that stuff.
You
Like
can't, God, you really can't. Because if you say it
and
to the wrong person, I mean, that immediately becomes like an issue. Like you say you're going to shoot
yeah.
someone, and then they see you, they shoot you first. Guess what? That's you started it. You created this, and God, then it turns into a huge political storm. The last thing an esports event needs right now is someone shooting it up. With how crucial we
Uh-huh.
are in the esports scene, trying to grow, that would just set us back so much.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why like uh the IP holders for the games are so concerned with like who runs their events and stuff is to make sure that like that their security and those things can't like happen. Like you can't just walk up to random Call of Duty event and just go shoot the place up, right? Like there's security protocols in place where it's like a bag check or a metal detector or something like that that just like a deterrent from making somebody do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly like me and you talked about on the Brown and Gex on. There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the pros is the security is a lot better. The con is like I said, the whole amateur feel of just being able to run a tournament out of so and so's garage and have a ton of people
Yeah, it
show
definitely
up.
makes it harder for like
Yeah,
to run events, but I think that it's honestly like necessary because like that'd be the worst thing in the world if somebody came and shot up at, like a CLT event. You
yeah.
know, like
Well, as
that would be
many veterans
awful.
as we have going there and people that conceal carry around the area, I don't, I don't foresee it happening at our event. And like the few people that actually, we know most of the people that come to our events. We've at least talked to them online or we've seen them at events. And I know it's hard to pinpoint like what a shooter, who a shooter would be, but for the most part, I'm very comfortable with our group of people come out. And the worst I could see happening is maybe some fisticuffs. Maybe people, getting. I don't even think it'd get that far, honestly. Maybe someone would steal someone's jewel, and that would be it. That'd be about as far as we would get. But, um, I think that the ban is needed. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's there's a lot more probably going on right now than what we know. But yeah, so that's definitely a bannable thing. Now your next topic that you had brought up is a big. Oh gosh, that's a
Yeah,
big.
this one's a little bit fun. I don't know how you feel about this one. After reading that article, I kind of feel differently. But just go ahead and tell like the audience what the article's about.
So this goes back to like the talk that me and you had in the car. So the article is basically talking about. It's actually let me pull it up so I want to read the actual title of it because it was a very well written article.
Yeah,
Um,
it was really
Polygon.
lengthy, and I think they did a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, we'll give you the TLDR. We'll give you guys the.
I'll put it in the link below.
Yeah, it's a very good article. If you're not really an event organizer or an organization owner or anything like that, it may bore you a little bit, but
Just tell the people what it's about, Josh.
the
Tell the people they
esports
want to know.
pipeline problem. Unlike regular sports, esports are missing a formal process for turning amateur players into professionals. We look into why. So it's talking about the issue of the gap between professionals and amateurs and how that gap is growing at an exponential rate because of certain ways that leagues are structured. These certain amateur leagues, there's two different types. You've got your open leagues or the leagues that anybody can just play, and then you have like a closed amateur league. Just kind of
Yeah.
put it in a
So
nutshell.
the example they use is like Overwatch and League of Legends are closed leagues, right? It's a franchise purchase. You have to pay like $20 million up front in order to get players and play in the event. Or Dota and Counter Strike, they don't have that, right? You can just own a team and send them to your, third party run event, but there's no like structured league or like professional league, if you would. Like there are pro players, and Optic Gaming or MIBR or Liquid have like a professional Counter Strike team, but there isn't like a professional league. There's like a million different leagues, like yeah, ESEL and ESEA does something, and Faceit has one. Like all these different like third party leagues that all have a lot of things that they do, but they're all kind of separate in their own ways.
Yeah.
Um, but I really liked when it compared it to like, so when we talk about the difference between football and how they like grow their players from within, right? Like you go from playing in middle school football to going to high school to go to college to getting drafted by the NFL to, play on a team. Or then like the baseball way of doing stuff, because baseball doesn't make as much money in college, and so they made like feeder leagues and how those push up. Like, what do you think the right model is for esports, for being able to refine players from like an elementary school kid all the way up to like after they graduate from college and then going professional?
Um, well, it's actually funny that we even talk about this because literally a few weeks ago, I was talking with Chris Cheney about this. Literally the same thing because we were talking about different ways esports organizations can go. And it kind of ties into this because there's two different ways an organization can go. You can go your multi-million-dollar franchise way, which is extremely hard. Not saying it's not doable, it's hard. We're working on that. Don't worry, more to come. But then there's also the amateur farm league type organization, and what that is it's basically you bring in players, you coach them, you teach them, you train them to play at a professional level. You give them all the basically you're getting them ready for the next level, kind of like how college is for like NBA or football or anything like that. So then you sell your player to a major organization for a $50,000 buyout, and then you reinvest that money into the next player, and you keep doing that, and you make your money that way. So there's two organizations. So I like the idea of having these amateur organizations be a farm team. I'm also a big fan, though, of something that we've seen, the academies that a lot of these big
Yeah.
organizations do.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because you're actually learning directly from the professional team. Like you're in the academy, so you're a part of the organization. You're not quite there. You're not quite there yet, but you're part of the organization. And if you play good enough, you can move up and be on that pro team. And you already have all the experience you need. I'm not sure how they structure, as far as what to look for in contracts and stuff like the more business side. I'm pretty sure they do. They'd be dumb not
See,
to.
that's what I'm saying though. Like, I think that's something that should be refined in the process for like the players on like looking through their contracts, right? Because like if I send contracts to players right now, like they don't look at them like in depth. I'm saying like how do you mold that person going from like all the way in elementary school to when they show up and they're like professional, where they have like their own agent or something like that? Like, what do you think that process looks like? What
So
would you what do you think's ideal, I guess? Like, would you like the farm league thing? Do you like, or like how do you make it to where players are ready to go when they go pro, I guess? I don't know.
that's a hard one because every
Yeah,
player is different, honestly, in maturity wise.
sure. Yeah.
I would say I'm probably more of a fan. I like the fact that an amateur organization can make like a professional player and move them up if they want to stay at that level, if they want to be like the farm team, right? But I think the structure of the academies is better. So I like the aspect of an amateur league or a team being able to do that, but the structure of the academy just feels better for players, and I feel like that's where you're going to get your more bang for your buck.
But that doesn't even work in like the articles was talking about Overwatch. Like that model doesn't work in Overwatch because of like the huge gap between like the contenders league and the pro league, right?
Well, that would be so. What would happen with what I'm talking about is you would have you would have one of those major teams, and it was an issue they brought up. An issue I don't think is as big as a deal as they said, but you would have the major teams basically would their academy team would be the contender team. So they would go in and they'd buy a contender slot forever. I don't know how much those cost, and they would find those players that they feel are worthy of being on that contender team, and that would be their academy. They would teach them, okay, this is what it's like to travel with the team. This is what it's like to get these contracts. This is what you're going to look for. Now, maximize that times 10, and this is what the pro scene will be like if you make it here. So I feel like there's more ways to go about it than the article let off. He really focused on two main things, as you saw. It was very heavily into Overwatch, Dota, well, three things: Overwatch, Dota, and League of Legends. Only because those are three major franchises right now. Well, not Dota's not really a franchise, but he definitely was going in on Valve. I felt like the guy who wrote the article was not a fan of the kind of whole open.
Well, no, I don't think he was a fan. I just think he had the idea of like it's a little bit more wild west for Dota and for Counter Strike. And actually, I like that about it because
I do
it
too.
allows for players. The players can grow up from within, right? Like you don't necessarily need a big org to be able to go participate in one of the events and compete,
Bingo.
right? Like
Yes, I love that, and that's what I think is
that's
so
the other
alluring.
thing that's yeah, that's what sucks though for like Overwatch and like League of Legends. Like you can have the best team in the world, but if you don't own a franchise spot, like you can't get into those leagues.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't like the model currently for those. Like I think there should be something to where they can grow up.
Yeah, and,
You know?
and then he touched on the point. Well, you have these amateur level leagues below it, but what's happening is there's not enough skilled players coming up through it. So the ones that are good are being picked up to replace the people, and there's a gap that's growing. So the players that can't make it are staying in the amateur league, and they're not getting any better. And then the good ones that were getting better are picked up, taken to the major, and there's creating this gap. And by year, it's getting bigger and bigger. I don't know how to solve that problem. That problem is literally just comes down to, are you guys looking in the right place for players? Because I guarantee you that there's plenty of untapped or unseen like double lift type players out there that are like absolutely insane, but they can't do it because they've got school or homework, or they've got jobs and families that
Or
they
like the
can't get
team
to.
around them isn't enough to support them. You know, like the people they're playing with are just not good enough to help them get there.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of players like that out there that are really good, but because
Yeah.
real life stuff happens, they just don't have the time to do it. I mean, it is what it is. I feel like as time goes on, that will even change, because as esports gets bigger and bigger and becomes more of a accepted thing in our culture, kind of like how it is in like the Asian countries right now, is where the esports players are the rock stars, superstars. Um, didn't freeze. Sorry, your thing. It came up on Skype. It said, "I think you froze," and I'm like, "No, I can see him moving in the background. You're fine."
Okay.
But I feel like basically what I got out of that whole article was there's a few things I noticed. There was the franchise models that people don't like and people do like. I am on the fence about how I feel about franchise models, only because I feel like it cuts off the path for a lot of amateur organizations that are trying to make it.
Sure. Like us.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's different ways about going about. You can come by if you want. So there's different ways. Sorry, that's Victoria. I would turn my
You're fine.
camera, but I don't want to
You're good.
turn it.
You're good, dude.
So there's different ways of going from amateur to professional. A lot of people think that you just have to have the good players and then get noticed, and then it's like, no. If you have good players and get noticed, your players are probably going to get scouted by these other teams, and they're going to leave. That's a whole nother pod. We could do a whole nother podcast on how amateur orgs go to pro. We've been, as Charlotte Esports has been lucky enough over the past few weeks, our network has grown exponentially. We've really learned a lot. We've got some really well-known figures in the esports industry that are kind of feeding me pointers and tips, and I'm sharing them with CJ as we go. But when it came to that article, like I said, the franchise was a big thing. The open kind of amateur Wild West is also another. So the pro about franchising is sponsorships. Sponsors know that they're going to be sponsoring something that's staying. They're not going to be, and by staying, I mean at least the next few years. They're not, it's not like in the Wild West where you sponsor a team, they have a bad season, and that team is all of a sudden gone. They're just not there anymore because they had a falling out. Like, that doesn't happen in a franchise league. Now, the pro about the Wild West thing is you might sponsor a team that is a bunch of underdogs no one's ever heard of, and all of a sudden they make their rank, they climb the ranks really fast. Now they're the best team in the world, and you sponsored them, and you're getting all, your ROI is like absolutely insane. So there's that point from the sponsorship, which
But that doesn't happen very often though either. That's kind of an anomaly.
I've seen it happen like once. Once.
Yeah. The Dota thing where those one guys showed up and won like that $1 million, like several $1 million tournament, were like nobodies. Like the one I can think of.
It needs to be like our league team. Avery, you need to watch this. You guys need to start get your stuff together, man. We got you. But the third thing that I did notice was how all of the big CEOs from like ESL and then Turtle Entertainment, how those guys all varied in how they looked at things. But it was very, very different. None of them were bad, but it was just very different answers and opinions on what they felt like was the best way to kind of guide this pipeline. Like I said, I'm more for the academy type feel, even though I love the fact that amateur organizations can provide that also. I just feel like if you're working directly under an already well-known established organization, I mean, you can't go wrong. They've been in the business for a while and can teach you the right way about going things. Unless we're an amateur organization, they're very limited. Most of them are very limited knowledge. Limited in the knowledge of how actual esports runs. The business side of stuff. So, but it just really kind of took me for a loop when all these guys were agreeing with each other the whole time. But then when it came down to like the final question, they all were like not disagreeing, but they all had different ideas of how they felt like that the amateurs could get into the to the top. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the last, like, to kind of like give it a last point, like, I'm a firm believer. At the end of the article, they were talking about like if there even needs to be a pipeline for the esports, because like there's a new set of games coming, right? Like the games in 2025, like I don't know if we'll still be playing League of Legends in 2025, if there'll be a better MOBA that comes out, or I don't know if we'll be playing
TFT.
Rocket League. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about like these new games and what it looks like, and like I think gamers can adapt. So like the guys that are pros now can switch to a different game and be pro in that game. But I
Yeah.
also think that like the our landscape is so weird because like football is always football, right? But like, is Counter Strike always Counter Strike? And is Counter Strike owned by, is football owned by somebody? No, it's not. Counter Strike is owned by somebody and is ever changing, right? A new patch can change the game completely. And
Yeah.
like that dynamic on top of all these other things you're talking about is so strenuous on the actual scene that it's like it's such a factor of unknown that you don't know what it's going to be. And I think it's cool in the fact that it's ever changing because it will constantly require innovation from organizers and from organizers like us or organizers like the actual owner of
The
the
IP.
game or players or whatever. Like it's going to be constant innovation in our scene. And I think that's actually a great thing because I believe that will help everyone to keep growing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that also one way that we're gonna see. So this has been my whole like thing against like the OWL or even like CWL going to franchise and even so much as like looking at the LCS and stuff. Those are games that are not necessarily viewer friendly in a sense that if my dad were to come up and watch them, he wouldn't know what is going on.
Well, yeah, dude, Overwatch is crazy. That
Exactly.
game is nuts.
I mean, there's people that play it that are still watching it. They're like, I have no clue what I'm watching on TV.
What happened? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
So
weird.
for that sense, the way I look at it is like when you have games like Rocket League, they're becoming massively successful as time goes on because
Yeah.
Sonics was a smaller publisher. Now Epic bought them, so it's changed a lot about how much reach they're going to have. When you have games like that that are very viewer friendly, I feel like that's going to be kind of where more of the money is going to start going because I can tell you right now, my dad could walk in and watch me play Rocket League and know what's going on and could get
Yeah.
into it.
Sure.
For
Yeah.
instance, playthrough, you had never really watched Rocket League before. That was your first Rocket League tournament watching it. Our guys there, and I mean, wasn't it exciting? We got to the finals, main stage, like. Yes, we were super tired, but at the same time, it was like it was like an actual, like if you're at a game, like you felt that.
Yeah.
And it's not like you had to know what was going on. As long as you knew that the blue team was scoring on the orange team or vice versa, everything was good. With Overwatch,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, the tank is soaking up all the damage, and some dude's throwing stars, and there's an arrow flying by me that heals you, but also pinpoint. Like stuff like that. Like I'm like I have no clue. I don't play Overwatch. I'm more of a MOBA type guy, anyways. So it's like when I watch that stuff, I'm like, what games are going to come out that are going to be like Rocket League and be able to capture like that super simple. There is a game actually. Oh gosh, man, it is.
What is it?
It's a roller derby
What's the
game.
future?
Dude. Okay,
It's called Team Fight Tactics. It's
that
called
is
Team
that
Fight
is one.
Tactics.
That is
That's
one.
what it is.
But this one, you're gonna like this, dude. Okay, you're gonna have to hop on this early. Like I'm gonna hop on it too. So it's a roller derby, like people like in a roller derby. But there's like these baskets, kind of like rings, like on one side of each. Like there's one on one side, one on the other. And like your point is, you have to go and like throw your ball through it. However, you're going against another team, or I think it might be every man for himself. And so it looks like Rocket League almost. So it's like roller derby with the roller skates that actually like let you boost in the air a little bit and stuff, and try to score as you're going around. And it looks like if Fortnite and Rocket League mixed, and you put like rollerblades on the Fortnite characters and put them on a track, like a Rocket League track, that's what you got. It looked. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a review on it because when I saw it, I was like, okay, so I'm good at Rocket League. How good can I be at this game? Because it looked intense. I mean, it looked very intense. So, I don't know. I just say bring back like, Super Mario. I'll do speedruns, man. I've never done them, but I've always watched like people do these speedruns at these conventions. I'm like, dude, how did they know? They're like, like Mario where you hit that like little mushroom that's not even there. It's like you jump up and you hit the air and a mushroom pops out and stuff. They're like running through like. Maybe I'll just pick up Smash, dude.
I think that's cheating. I think when people do like speedruns and they like take glitches in the game, I'm like, dude, that's like you can't do that.
Dude, I agree with you, but See, that's like a whole different community. So it's like you have esports,
Yeah.
okay? You have the FGC, which is technically esport, but they call themselves FGCs. They already set themselves aside. And then you have the
Yeah.
speedrun guys, and those like it's
They're
weird.
like the anime kids, the anime weirdos that play Dungeons and Dragons
Hey,
too. Same dude.
you guys are not weirdos. We love you all.
Oh, you're
Subscribe and
weirdos. I'm
comment.
not. I'm telling you like it is.
No, yeah, well, going to any esports enthusiast, we want to go to a convention where it's just esports, but most of the time it's mixed with anime and cosplay, and so
Really.
NecoCon is going to be a
There's
lot of
always a
fun
chick
for
that's
us.
diva. Diva's always there. Yep.
You mean Eve?
Yeah, Eve. Yep, that's one.
But it's my whole thing is like the way I look at it is like this, like our the reason I like what we're doing events wise is because it's very much centered on just the competitive aspect. We don't care about, like, we even brought in like Koyobi to do fighting game stuff while people wait, because like I want to keep that competitive spirit going. Like when people aren't playing in between matches, hop on some Smash Bros for a little bit, take that aggression out and then hop back into your game. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on. I know that, not trying to segue out, but I do know that next week's. Did Sarah? Have you? I'm going to tell people next week. Tune in, guys. I know my wife is going to be joining us. The CLT Babe. We're working on getting Sarah in there. CJ,
Yep.
you need to do that.
Sarah should be here. Yeah,
So,
she should be.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun one for all you ladies out there or men that are married. They're let your lady watch it. It's gonna be the other side, seeing how it's like being married to one of us and seeing the esports kind of grow. So if you've ever dreamed about what it's like to be married to us or this yours truly, tune in next week. Don't laugh at me. She's sitting on the stairs laughing at me right now. So. But yeah, I know next week will be fun, and I'm deliriously tired. I told Victoria, I was like, I hope I make it through this and I'll just like fall asleep because I've just been so tired lately. So.
All right, well, let's end it there. We're just gonna cut it off. Hope
Yep.
you guys have a great week. We're gonna be back next week. Check out the podcast then, and we'll see you then.
Yep. And also, if you guys want, check out our new website, www.clt-esports.com. We got a lot of really cool stuff going. Our store should be up soon. I know I talked to the guy who's doing the website. I talked to him today. We're still working on that. But we're going to have the jerseys that you can buy, the shirts that you can buy. We're coming out with more apparel for everyone. We want to do it right, so we're taking our time with it. But we definitely have jerseys and shirts for sale. I think you still have some shirts right now, right, CJ?
Yeah, I have a box.
Yeah, so he still has a box. They're pretty cool. It's got our logo on the chest, our sponsors on the back, and then our tag for both, or our handle for both Instagram and Twitter on the back. So they're black shirts. They're awesome. If you guys want one, they are $20. Was it $20? I'm sure you can find either me or CJ on social media. Just message us. We'll get you the shirt. But thanks so much for tuning in. Until next, guys. Rise above.